Thank you so much, Damien, for doing this for me and Elevar. My very first question today is a lot of indie labels do end up tied to one niche. How are you keeping Shake and Bake Records from being pigeonholed like this and still building a recognizable brand?
I think the key to building a recognizable brand, at least in Shake and Bake's format, is to really be genuine. And though it's starting now, we only have a few musicians and a few collaborators. All the collaborators are unique. They have distinct sounds, they have distinct messages and ways of playing, ways of singing, and ways of contributing. Many labels are really gathered and garnered around an image or a genre or something that's like instantly recognizable, but Shake and Bake, the recognizability is in the uniqueness of the artists and the contributors.
How do you balance both being an active member of Death Angel, worldwide touring, and also steering an indie label that requires a lot of your attention?
So there are two worlds going on in my life right now, in which I am a touring musician and member of Death Angel, the thrash metal band, and I am the creator and founder of Shake and Bake Records, which is a new venture I've been doing. The big difference, I would say, is that with Death Angel and with any touring musician, I think the primary concern is personality management. And I say that because when you're on the road and you're touring, whether you're sharing a bus, you're definitely sharing venues, you're sharing facilities, you're waiting in line with each other to use bathrooms. Everybody has to be collaborative. Everybody has to keep their ideas focused on the bigger picture, which is when you're a performing band, you've come to entertain a crowd. A lot of people do say it's about money. Money is a factor. We have to make money. We have to pay buses. We have to pay crew. But more importantly, why we got into this, why I got into this, is because I like to play music. I like being expressive, and this is how I connect with people. So the most important thing as a member of Death Angel is making sure I'm always copying a positive mental attitude, that I'm interacting well with everybody else, not only on my bus and my crew, the other bands, and the local crew, because the vibe we bring into town is going to translate. The audience deserves the absolute best from us, so we need to be on point at all times. So as a member of Death Angel, personality management. As a CEO, founder of Shake and Bake Records, it's much different because I'm not seeing people on a day-to-day basis. I'm talking to people. And so it's important at Shake and Bake to be disciplined and make sure that I'm following through on my deadlines and my commitments to my artist and to the label itself. So a big part of that is just checking in with artists saying, hey man, those tracks are going to be ready. It's more on me to try to make things happen. And the personalities are much more easier to manage because mostly everybody's grateful to be making music and having Shake and Bake give them exposure.
What role does collaboration play between your in-house band Mystics of Tomorrow and the other guest artists you bring in?
I liken Mystics to Tomorrow to the Muscle Shoals band from back in the 80s. The Muscle Shoals band was a band from Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. When people would come into town, the Muscle Shoals band would be the in-house band. Sometimes they wrote songs, sometimes they were just studio musicians. Motown Records had the Funk Brothers. So Mystics Tomorrow is working very much in the same way in that they're helping artists achieve their songs and their music, but at the same time they're providing and writing songs for artists and tailoring them specifically towards vocalists and people who are interested.
How do you see Patreon and direct-to-fan platforms kind of shaping the future for independent labels like yours?
Whew, man, the industry is changing really fast, and I do see that Patreon and direct-to-fan services is the recommended thing. When you read the books about successful indie labels, they're saying you got a fan funnel, which is find out who the super-duper fans are, cater to them, and they're going to be your big spenders. They're going to be the ones who are going to sign up for memberships. So this very much could be the future of what many artists are going to have to do. I would recommend doing what I'm doing with Shake and Bake, in which is you start a kind of collective of people you trust and you like working with, and you start your own independent label. With that, there's a lot of opportunities. If you stick with it, if you get through the nitty gritty, you could start publishing companies, you could start PR firms, you could start marketing firms, you start to build up a roster. So under the umbrella of an indie label, there's a lot of opportunity to break the business off into more specialized fields. So if an artist or a collection of artists has it within them to do the extra work, I'm going to say go the extra mile and take control over your future. Otherwise, yes, you are going to have to do the gig economy and Patreon and things like that. depending on, how you feel, I've never really feel comfortable asking people for money. I don't like to charge my friends and people I know for stuff. So it's never going to happen for me that I'm going to go around, Shake and Bake's never going to go around and ask for handouts or ask for money or ask for donations. If people want to do that, that's fine. More importantly for us is that we spread the music, that people enjoy the music. If they enjoy the music, they share it with their friends, they put it in their playlist, or they like it. For Shake and Bake Records, we're more interested on getting exposure and connecting the music. Money will come into it at some point. So far, myself and the artist, we are about the creative expression, and money will follow through sponsorships and through endorsements and through other means.
You have a really impressive team. You've got visual artists, engineers, marketers even. How did you assemble this crew, and what qualities were you looking for when you brought everybody together?
How did Shake and Bake come together? How did the crew come together? The crew came together, and everybody who's working from Shake and Bake is people I've just known through the journey of my life. Some of these fellows are people I've met before Death Angel, when I was playing the cover scene, the tribute scene, doing the professional working gigging scene. Met a lot of people. In the meantime, I was also doing original bands. And if someone struck my fancy and we got along, I've always kept them in the Rolodex. As I was starting to put the songs together, put Shake and Bake together, starting to assemble a team, I would just think back to the guys who made the best impression on me, the singers, artist friends who I've met through the years. Try to keep them remembered, check in with them, and see what they're interested in. So everybody who is a part of Shake and Bake is just someone who's part of my history as a musician and as a person.
With everybody's diverse backgrounds, there's Bud Burke from Exhumed. There's Jordan Wolfe, who has a grunge folk soul background. How are you navigating creative clashes and turning them into something more cohesive?
So far, it has not been very difficult because everybody is on board with releasing music. Some of the artists have their own songs, are ready to go, they have the vision figured out. Everybody gets to put their own stamp on it the way they want. So it's kind of like how Miles Davis on The Bitches Brew. Not necessarily everybody gets to hear everybody's part. Everybody gets to put their own part the way they would want it. And then when it comes back, there's a bit of consensus between the mixers, the engineers, the players themselves, myself. And we all kind of put a consensus in and say and find out what would be best for the song. Unless someone's song feels very, very strongly about the part, then maybe that will outweigh the rest of the team. But generally speaking, so far, everything has been by consensus. If anything, it's just I get to kind of comb through a bit as a producer and tailor the parts to what I think is the strongest. But before anything goes out, everybody signs off and says, yep, that's what I want. That's cool.
From your perspective, what is the biggest misconception that new artists might have when thinking about signing up or working with an indie label?
The big thing about being an indie label is you have to be willing to work more. You haven't made it. This isn't Geffen Records or this isn't Chrysalis Records. Nobody's got big budgets. You still have to work hard. You have to be into what you're doing.
You've been part of the global heavy metal scene for years. How is this label helping you express another side of yourself that Death Angel fans might not be expecting?
Many people who are familiar with me as a player know me through Death Angel, which is a legacy thrash metal band from the Bay Area, hailing back from the mid-'80s. It's a band that's been going for a long time. They have a legacy. They've got fans that were fans when I was still literally like a kid collecting Ninja Turtles, a little younger than the other fellows. So many and most people know me as a performer in Death Angel. And the big shock that they're going to find is I don't live, eat, breathe heavy metal. I do love heavy metal. One of my favorite bands will always be Black Sabbath. I grew up on the Iron Maidens. I grew up with the Metallicas. But additionally, I found metal just by really a process of trial and error. I watched MTV, a couple videos would pop up here and there. There would be a Metallica, a Megadeth video. Ooh, I like those songs. I would check them out. However, I was watching the MTV Top 20 Countdown. There were so many bands that were mixing on the Top 20 Countdown that it wasn't just metal that influenced me. It was everything that was happening, from the Nirvanas, the Soundgardens, the Janet Jacksons, and so on and so forth. The Top 20 Countdown was varied. And so I've always grown up loving music. So what people are going to find is, as much as I love performing, I love Death Angel, I love heavy metal, and I love this international culture, I still have a passion just for playing music. What people are going to find out is that, yes, I love metal. Yes, I love doing Death Angel. It is the dream job. But additionally, there are more things to say. There's more music to share.
What's next for Shake and Bake Records in the next 2 to 3 years? Are you going to stay boutique and highly curated, or do you feel like expanding, and do you envision it growing bigger?
In the next 2 to 3 years, Shake and Bake is looking to expand. We're looking for more collaborators and more people who we could collaborate and make music with. Having a band has been awesome and it's a great identity, but there is also a freedom and a liberation that comes with collaborating, and that this fusion of ideas really brings something new that you don't always get when you work with the same contained elements. So we're looking to do in the next few years is having more guests, more special guests, more established artists, more consistently released content. When I started this, my goal was to have 2 songs per month. Currently, I can't keep up with that. It's too difficult. But I would love to get it to where there's 2 songs happening every month from different artists. We're getting remixes. I would love to do something like a tiny desk concert where we have a bunch of the musicians in-house and we're collaborating and going through a bunch of songs, and it's televised. And building up more of the publishing. I really would love to see more of these songs, more of these artists having contacts with video games, having contacts with movie series, with TV series, with commercials. And the way I feel is that if we didn't compromise ourselves in making the music, then we can't be sellouts when people want to use our music to advertise their product. So we're going to stay true to ourselves and make music, and where that finds commercial accessibility, we will accept those when it comes. So that's what we're looking for in the next 2 years, is to continue to build everything, the marketing, the PR, the publishing, and the artists to be more prevalent. Thank you very much, Elevar Magazine. Take care, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you so much for being a part of Elevar. And I want everybody to go check out Shake and Bake Records on their Patreon page. They've got all kinds of good tidbits, information for artists, and membership is free. This has been a lot of fun, and I wish Damien and everybody involved all the best in the world.